Welcome to Sunday Springboard with Melanie and Kimberly Coaching, where we help women recover from and become confident after and thrive after toxic relationships. Have you ever met someone that when you meet them, they just seem so wonderful, so perfect? They give you so much attention, and they text you and they send you flowers, and they're so complimentary, and they're so kind and loving, and they're patient. You screw up a little bit here or there, and they're just, oh, they're so wonderful. This is actually called love bombing, but who knew, right? Because at the time it feels so great and wonderful. This is how narcissists are. Let me share my screen with you. All right, so this is what makes it so difficult. They start off so great and wonderful, and then as it goes along, they get us reeled in, and they start going, they change. Well, we think they change, and we start thinking, I just want that guy that I fell in love with, or the woman I fell in love with. I just want that same person. I want them to go back to who they were before. But here's the problem. The problem is that person that we fell in love with didn't really exist. This was a persona. This was a pretend. This was an act that they put on to make us fall in love with them. So when you're wanting to go back to that original person, there's no original person to go back to. They're very good at pretending love, pretending empathy. Now, they may call it love, and they have a feeling inside that they call love, but their idea of what love is you love them, you make them feel good, you take care of them, you have sex with them, you make them not be alone. And that's what their idea of love is you loving them. We will definitely talk about that some more as we go along, but what we're going to talk about today is that one of the things that they're trying to do, they're trying to reel you in so you can be their supply. Let's talk about that. What does that mean to be a narcissistic supply? You may see this. People will say they've got a new supply. So think about it like this. Say you've got this tank of air on your back, you're scuba diving, and that you've got this air, and someone kinks the hose or turns off the air, and you don't have your air. And what are you going to do? You're going to panic. You're going to desperately do whatever it takes to get your air supply back. Once you get your air supply back, you'll be okay. You'll feel a bit aggravated maybe, but then you'll be okay. And this is how a narcissist feels when they do not get the validation, the admiration, the attention, the recognition that they want. They can't breathe. They feel like they've had their air cut off with that tank on their back. Now, this might make you feel a little bad for them if they really need this so much. The problem is, I don't know, we can feel bad for them all day, but the problem is, in a relationship with them, it's always going to be a one-way street. We'll talk about that some more, but they have to have this gratification, this rewards. They can get this from social media, from compliments, awards, from us. There's so many different ways that they can get it, and this is what they're all about. If their idea of their supply is how are they going to get this need met? And if you don't meet it for them, they'll find someone else to meet it for them, but they're going to make you feel miserable in the process. So there are 4 types of narcissists. Now, actually, you know the truth, I think that some of them go between, they exhibit different traits of all the different kinds, but these are the basic distinctions that most people give. And even when you're out there reading literature, you might find different things, you might find different names, but these are the basic ones. So the first one is the grandiose or classic. The second is the covert narcissist. Then you've got the communal and the malignant. So let's talk about each one of those a little more. So the grandiose, this is what you typically think. They think they're so great. I'm so good. They have this self-importance. Look at me, and they believe that they're so much better than everyone else in intelligence and their appearance and their qualities and their achievements. They just think they're that, and they want everyone to look at them and see it. So they're never going to be fully honest in their interactions. They're going to get angry for no reason, but what it seems like no reason, but it's because someone is not seeing them as this all wonderful, grandiose person. They might actually be, and they probably will be, outgoing and charming. If they're confident that they're helpful, they seem all this good. And that will be your first impression. So your first impression, you'll think, hey, this is a really cool person. I enjoy being with this person. But if you work with them, if you're on a team with them, or you're in a relationship with them, things will go downhill. Once they don't have all of your 100% attention, then they're going to start reacting. And then most of the time they come across as being cold, arrogant, and hostile. And they're going to be bragging. They're going to be doing things and overestimating how they are. And they might actually do some things to benefit others, but they're doing this for a reason. They're doing it to get what they want, either to make the other person owe them, or maybe to make themselves look good. That's going to kind of go with our communal narcissist later. But if a narcissist is doing something nice for someone, they are generally doing it for a reason. They're not doing it because they actually care about the people. Remember that one of the main characteristics of a narcissistic person is they do not have empathy. They can pretend it, but they don't truly have it for whatever reason. Now, when you're falling in love with this person, they're going to be charming, and they feel they're secure and confident, and it feels like at first that this could be a great thing, but in time they're going to become controlling, and they're going to become aggressive, and it's going to be a very miserable situation. They actually secretly judge themselves to be perfect, and everyone else is lowly. So maybe I'm going to be showing you, I'm going to give you the benefit of my attention or my advice, or just the lowly subjects, and I'm going to be the king. And if I deign to give you some attention, then you should be very grateful for that. The next one let's talk about is the covert. This one is sometimes kind of hard to diagnose or determine that this is what you're dealing with, because they might seem very modest and shy. They're not big, loud, and charismatic like the grandiose person. This person may seem kind of depressed and victimized. Now, they're just like the grandiose in that they're self-absorbed, they're exploitive, they're manipulative, and they can get aggressive, and they have that entitlement that the grandiose one has, and all narcissists basically have this feeling of entitlement. I'm entitled to this or that, to have all these people's attention on me. But the covert one gets into this victim thing. They need a lot of supportive attention. And my past wife or my past girlfriend, I was just so good to them, and they just treated me so badly. And what happens is, if you're the person that comes into this relationship, I know this because I've been there, is you're like, oh, that poor person, that he was so good and she treated him so badly. I am going to love him enough to make him feel good about himself. Poor guy. And you can't ever love them enough. Let me just tell you this. You cannot love them enough, because that's not what this is about. This is inside of them. They do not have the ability to feel love because they don't have the ability to love. And they're like this empty hole inside that you can pour in all you want, and they're never going to have enough. So they have to have a lot of attention, a lot of support. They're going to have very little empathy or compassion for others, but they might be good at faking it. They're hypersensitive. If you try to give them a little bit of criticism, they're just going to go crazy. They're going to turn it around. We're going to actually talk about the gaslighting later, not today. But all of these narcissists have a way of turning it around on you if you ever try to talk to them about something. But some of them will turn it around to where you're stupid. Some of them, this one was going to turn around to make you feel guilty. You've hurt their feelings. You're so insensitive. And they have a very fragile self-esteem. So you're always walking on eggshells with this one for fear that you don't hurt their feelings, make them feel rejected. And so when they're talking with you, they tend to just be talking on and on and on. They're going to be long-winded, poor me, I'm all this great, wonderful, however, nobody realizes it. And so, of course, these people are going to have a hard time keeping a job or keeping a relationships. They're going to get really disturbed if you don't approve of them. You can't, it's not okay to not approve of something they do. You have to approve of it, whether you do or not. If you don't, they're gonna be just anxious and they're gonna start off manipulative, but if you don't change, then they're gonna become hostile and aggressive. If you're not feeling guilty enough that you're not treating them right, or you're not feeling sympathy for them, or you're just not giving them all the attention and the support that they need, then they can become just outrageously angry. And they're never going to realize that you might actually want to talk about your experiences a little. Give it up. They're never going to be interested in hearing about yours. Oh, I've lost my mouse. Okay, the next one is what we call the communal, or you could also see it called the noble. Now this person, they just think that they're all that. They are God's gift to mankind. They're saints. They're angels that God sent here on earth to bless others. And so they go out and they do a lot of good things. They join save the whales, or they go help. They're not going to do something that's a whole lot of work, but they might help go build the house or give money toward building the wells. But they're always going to be involved in something where everyone can see how wonderful they are. They believe that they're superior to everyone else, and but they're doing this all in a communal way. And they look like really good people. They look like philanthropists. And they look like and they go out of their way to help people, but they're not doing this truly to help people. They're doing this to get the attention of others and to get the validation. So these people are going to get involved in this, but then they're going to make sure that they put their selfies on their social media. They're going to be sure that they're seen and there's pictures of them, and they're always going to be telling everyone about it. They're never going to do something and keep it quiet. They're always going to be telling other people because this is the way to get what they want, what they need, their supply. And so they're going to, again, they're just going to they do things all the time, and it seems like they're doing good, but they're doing it for themselves. They even say, people just love me. Ever since I came into the world, they can't do without me. And they truly believe this about themselves. And what can be difficult about living with this person is they are often just great and wonderful to everyone on the outside. And they can be very cruel to the people at home. So everyone can be saying, oh, your husband is just so good, or your father, he just helps so many people. You're so blessed or lucky to have this. And you're knowing, oh, that is not what it's like at home. So that can be a really difficult thing because everybody's telling you how great they are, and you know that that's actually not how they are at home. This last one, the malignant one, this is the worst. This is the darkest type, and some experts say they're the psychopath of the narcissist world. Some people call them, Eric Fromm called them the quintessence of evil. Now, one of the main differences in this malignant narcissist versus an actual psychopath is that the psychopath isn't usually looking for attention or validation. They just want what they want. They go out and they do it. They don't care about anyone else. They don't care. They don't feel any remorse or sadness. They do whatever needs to be done to get what they want. And that's just all there is. But the narcissist is doing all that, but they're also wanting to get approval and validation. So they have that hook in there. But these people are really, really dangerous people. You don't want to get on the bad side of one of these, because if you do, they will tear your life apart. If they're your boss, you don't want to cross them. If you're in a relationship with them, getting out will be the hardest thing. You'll be lucky if they leave you, because they will make sure that anything that you love, you will lose. And that it's like they actually enjoy making you feel bad and hurting you. The other types of narcissists, they may hurt your feelings and they may not care about them, but they generally don't get joy from hurting you. It's just something that happens. But the malignant one, often he can actually just be sadistic and enjoy making you have pain. They're usually not going to be so blatant, like they might get arrested or get in trouble with the law. So they're not going to destroy your property. They're probably not going to beat you up, whatever. But like if you had a mob coming in your neighborhood, they would probably point out your house to them. They're never going to recognize anyone else's needs. Theirs are all that matters. And it does not matter whatever it takes to get the ones they want, to get the attention, the approval and all that, then that's what they're going to do. And they can't take any criticism whatsoever. They can't, even if it's mildly, they're going to fly off and they're going to, in the covert narcissist, you're going to walk on eggshells because you don't want to hurt their feelings. The malignant one, you're going to walk on eggshells because you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to get on their bad side because they are going to do whatever. They're actually very overly concerned with the way they look. They always want to look beautiful or put together. They don't leave their houses or appear in pictures without looking their best. And you would never hear them apologizing to anyone. Now, you're never going to hear any of these narcissists apologizing to someone, but this one is going to be more like, okay, I'm sorry. Are you happy now? What else do you want? This one is very dangerous. This one is, you have to be very careful in how you get away from this one, and any kind of relationships with a malignant one. You have to do a lot of planning before you try to get away, because they will wreck your life. All right, so that was the basics: grandiose, covert, communal, and malignant. And I have to say that when I think about the narcissists I've known, they don't necessarily, you can't necessarily put them in a little box. The ones I've known kind of went between all of them. I had one that was, all grandiose and would do things, good things to help people, but wanted to be seen, and then was all victim-y. My wife was this, and then eventually I was so terrible. And then when it got bad and everything was bad, then pretty much wrecked my life. So I don't know that they can all be pigeonholed, but I think for the most part, they're one or the other, or a couple of them, or it also could be what's going on. If things are going pretty decent in their life, then they may be the lesser ones, and when things start to go bad, they can move into being the malignant one. And here's the deal: it doesn't matter really what label we give them. It doesn't matter what diagnosis they get. The thing is to understand, when you have a person in your life who has no empathy, who does not care about you, these people are going to use and abuse you, and there's no cure for them. 99% of this kind of person are not going to get better. And it's not because they can't. If they would admit that they could, God can do anything and anyone can change. But they, for the most part, will never admit that anything is ever wrong with them. The only ones that even come close to ever going to a counselor are because something is going terribly wrong in their life and it is really affecting them. But even then, the experts say that very, very slight percentage of them actually ever get any better. And if they do, they just get a little higher on the empathy. They don't ever get to be like a normal person. So if we're going to do a lot more talking, there is so much information. As we've said before, the best thing if you're in a situation with someone is to get away from them, but that may not be possible. It could be someone in your family, a parent or a child. It could be someone at work, and you at the moment have to stay in that job. Maybe you're in a marriage that, for several different reasons, maybe for the kids or financial or for a commitment that you feel like you decide you have to stay with them. So you have to find a way, how can I live with this person? if you can't get away, and also the caveat, if there's any physical abuse, you have to get you and your children safe. But if it's not physical and you're dealing with the emotional abuse, and I want to say just emotional abuse, because emotional abuse is very terrible, it's very hard, and it breaks you down. It makes you feel like you're not the person that you were before. Now, the good news I have is that you can overcome that. You can recover from these relationships. But you have to take it step by step. So here's your first 2 steps that I said last week, and I'm going to save these until I can get into some more actual helpful things for you. Is number 1, this is not about you. This is about them. There's nothing you can do or change to make them any better. You can't love them enough. You can't be kind to them enough, obey them enough, approve of them enough, validate them. You cannot give them enough. They have an empty, dark hole in them that no matter how much you pour in, it's never going to be enough. So you can just stop thinking that. You're not going to be able to help them become a real person. And the second thing is, what is my second? The second thing is don't take it personally. When you deal with them, you do what is best to take care of you. That's actually not the second one. I don't even remember what the second one is. So for right now, we're just going to say, it's not about you. You can't fix them. Just do what you can to take care of yourself and your children until possibly you can get in a situation where you can leave, or you find a way that you can live with it. I am going to give you some more tips, but for right now, if you want to have some help before I get to those, if you need to talk about this, if you're leaving someone, you have to do a lot of thinking and planning. If you're trying to decide, am I in this situation or not, I would love to talk with you, visit with you, see if we would resonate for a coaching relationship. Meanwhile, you can watch my videos on my YouTube channel. You can see my posts on my Facebook. Go to my website. You can schedule a free confidential consult, and we can talk and see whether we would be good for coaching together. Meanwhile, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.